they will have to use this ID while logging in, and I'll show you how it is done. But currently, the first thing that you should know is, once I log in using my root ID, I would have a different interface. And when I'm using, I'm logging in as a as a identity under the root ID, it will be looking like this. So you'll say that, see here, I've created an identity called as administrator. So this is a kind of a user under my root account whose name is administrator. That's all it is. And if you see this number matches with the number that we just wrote in here. Okay. So that is the administrator @this. So this is like, in the root account, I have created an identity called administrator. Okay. He will have certain roles. He will have certain access permissions. And that is why, to set up these accounts and access permissions, I should use a service that is provided by AWS, which is called as IAM. If you see over here, this is under my recently used services. It is cached because I have recently used that service. This is called as IAM, stands for Identity and Access Management, to create identities under your root account and to provide access or to restrict access to certain identities under your root account. So I'm managing the identities and access under my root account. That is what I'm doing. Now, why I'm doing all this stuff? Because what I need to show you is, I need to show you how I can create an integrated development environment and how I can share that particular same environment between my users. And that is why I require users under my root account. Okay. Also, I need certain identity. So if you remember last time when we tried to create an Cloud9 ID, there was a warning coming up which said that this is a root account and you should not use a root account to create a Cloud9 ID. That is because what the philosophy of AWS is that the root account is generally a billing account and nothing should be actually spawned through this billing account. You should use sub accounts and properly manage your identities as well as access to different services using various sub-user groups and sub-users. Okay, so we'll be jumping now to IAM service of AWS. So we started off in the AWS Management Console and we clicked on IAM to get this IAM interface. So this is the IAM interface. Since I have made it enlarged, आपको वो 3 pane में दिख रहा है. This particular thing is navigation plane, the left hand side. Okay, it छोटा होता है generally, and this is the middle part. They are actually improving this pane. So if you see over here, it tells you which account you are currently using. You can copy this account name. Okay, you can create an alias to this account. As I was saying, the account ID or account alias is what I need to remember. Now, what is the console link to this account? So this is like my web space for my administrator. Okay, so this is this IP address that has been created. So this is the signing in URL. So if I use this URL on, say, any other incognito tab, so incognito tab is the tab wherein my identity is different. So if I use this, okay, so this particular thing starts with my account ID dot signing in dot aws.amazon.com/console. So this is where I'm trying to log in into the AWS console. So I can share this login ID with my users. Okay, so that I need not tell them always that you are part of this account and you should go. So this is where this identity access management username the user should give and the password user should give. ओके तो जैसे कॉलेज के आपके यूजर आईडी और पासवर्ड है, वैसे ही आप अलग अलग यूजर आईडी और पासवर्ड क्रिएट कर सकते हैं एंड देन यू कैन allow your users in to your system. Okay, so this is the account number 12 digit, that is account ID, or I can use an account alias if I have created. Okay, fine. I go back and I show you that I've created multiple users in this particular. Basically, I've created 2 user groups so far. One user group is called as administrators. There is one user under this user group, and there is a user group called as Cloud9 users, just to make a distinction between what access these users will have to Amazon services. Okay, I have made these distinctions. So this administrator is an administrator user, so it will have all the access to every service in under the Amazon services category. Now we'll just look at it. मैं थोड़ा decrease करता हूँ font. We'll go to administrator group. Every group will have a list of users shown to you under this tab. What permissions I do have. So there is a list of permissions, a very large list of permissions, because there's numerous services that we've seen. We have seen that there are a lot of services and you require different access permissions or restrictions placed in. So this is like a firewall rules in network जैसे होता है, वैसे ये cloud के access rules है. क्या पार्ट या क्या सर्विस का कौन सा एस्पेक्ट, क्योंकि हर एक सर्विस में अलग अलग एस्पेक्ट होंगे. जैसे if I consider Cloud9 service, then there would be users who should be able to create the new environment, that is new ID environment. There should be some users only able to access the environment, but they should not be allowed to create the environment. Okay, there would be certain users who should not be allowed even in other environments. तो इस तरीके से आप access को control कर सकते हैं. Okay, so if I go in the permissions, you'll see that the administrator has a permission policy name called as administrator access. Okay, and if I click this plus sign, I would know what all kind of so this particular information can also be seen in terms of JSON, because whatever we are doing visually can also be done using the command line. So there is an AWS command line also available, using which you can manipulate all these things. There are commands given and using which you can manipulate it, but that's a bit of part which is just either I use a user interface or I use a command line. I'm doing the same thing. Okay, but if I want to do this same administrative access allowability or disallowability, then I need to use such JSON definition of that particular thing. I should use a command and hit it. But right now I have not use any commands. I have just created it using the graphical user interface. Okay, how do you create new users? Go in IAM, go to users, and you will have this add user button, using which you can create the button. Then in the user add workflow, you'll find that you will be able to put the users in different groups. So first I need to establish groups, then I need to establish the users, then I need to establish how the user should be given password. Should I give them a permanent password? Should I give them allow them to regenerate their password? Should I allow them to change the password? Should I allow them to randomly given a password? All these things you need to decide upon, but that is a separate part and you need not worry about that right now. So what I have done is I've created 3 users. One is administrator who has access to all the services, and 2 users. One user is Anup user 1 and Anup user 2. I can name them anyhow. Okay, these are the users, and what they will be able to access, they will be able to access this IP address. Okay, ये जो IP address मैंने अभी दिखाया, ये वाला, ये उनको accessible रहेगा. So I'll just show you one of the users. I'll make it logged in. So this user had already logged in. So I'll use the second user so that it will be a sanity check कि वो user और उसका IP address मुझे याद है. So I have just provided a password and it is getting me into that user's console. So this is the AWS Management Console for user whose name is Anup_user2 under the root account ID, this one. So root account ID is same. It is in the same working region, that is US East Coast 1. It may be in different as well. It may be working in different zone as well. लेकिन फिलहाल दोनों users मेरे एक ही zone में काम कर रहे हैं, and this is my user 2. Okay, and it has a limited capability, so it won't be able to access all the services of Amazon. If I actually try to go to a service like say I try to go to, I'm not going and going far ahead, I'm just trying to click build a web app using elastic beanstalk. Okay, I'm getting to the page. Probably I can get to the page, but then I'll get stuck somewhere. Okay, so we will come back to this page. So far I need to explain you the rest of the stuff. So these 2 users, administrator I explained, IAM identity access management, created 3 users, 2 user groups, so that I'm able to segregate the functionality from root user. Okay, now I need to first create an IDE environment, integrated development environment, using the Cloud9. So I am resigning as the root user right now, signing out as the root user right now, and I'm signing in as an administrator. Okay, so to sign in as an administrator, I need to go to console, login. Okay, there are 2 default logins. One is as a root user, another is IAM user. So I'm selecting I want to log in as an IAM user. I have to provide now my account ID. The account ID, I preserved it over here. Probably that was there in my clipboard as well, but still, okay. So I'm using this ID. Going next, it will ask me my password, possibly my name. So administrator, then the password. I'll provide my password. Okay, and I'll get the console of the administrator user. Okay, now I need to start building the Cloud9 ID. To start working on Cloud9, I need to select the Cloud9 service. There are 3 ways to select a service. I can select a service from recently accessed services. If I had accessed that service earlier, it will be present over there. Or I can go and search it in the all services, where I'll get it in under the development tools. Where are the development tools situated? Yeah, developer tools, and in that Cloud9 service. And the third and easiest way would be to search it through this search box. So Cloud9, I search the service and I get the service. Okay, but the search box gives you a lot of different things as well, but you should know that I'm interested in going to the Cloud9 service. So jump to the Cloud9 service. Any one of the 3 ways you can access it. Okay, this is the Cloud9 service landing page. So I am right now in the dashboard of AWS Cloud9. What is AWS Cloud9? It is an IDE for writing, running, and debugging code. So it provides you capability of editing, running, writing, and debugging of any programming language code. So it's an integrated development environment in that sense. Okay, there are a lot of other informations available here which you can read on your own when you will do this thing yourself. Okay, currently when I want to establish an IDE, the first thing that I do is, this is I guess 4th or 5th step that we are into. The next thing that I should do is I should create an environment. Okay, so creating an environment is very easy. I need to give that environment some name, some logical meaning. So maybe I'm working on some Python code. So I'll say that I need to create a Python ID. So I'm naming it as my environments or my root institutes Python ID. So this is an IDE that will be used for Python programming. Okay, and I'll give some information about this. Will be used by user 1 and user 2 on their Python project. Okay, they're working on same Python project, both of these users, user 1 and user 2, and this ID is going to be used by them. So this is the description which helps in identifying what this environment is. You can consider that in an in an organization, in a IT setup, there would be such many projects going simultaneously, and I may have simultaneously various ID created for some IDs for Java projects, some IDs for website projects, some ID for maybe some application project, etc. So that's just a scenario that you need to think of why such thing is available here. Now the second thing in this work, in this wizard, we need to follow. So step 1 we have already done. We have named the environment. Step 2 is your configuration settings you are doing. So as last time, we are going to create a new EC2 instance for the environment, and we are going to provide a direct access to this EC2 instance from our IDE. So from IDE, this instance will be directly accessed. Okay, you can have a system manager access and no ingress EC2 instance. A new no ingress EC2 instance means it will be a new instance, No ingress means no other traffic than the ID traffic would be used for this EC2 instance. So first EC2 instance is such that I can access this EC2 instance out of this ID as well. मैं ID के बिना भी इस EC2 instance को access कर सकता हूँ. What is EC2 instance? Elastic Cloud Computing Instance. It's like a virtual machine for you, which will have some RAM, which will have some CPU, okay, and which will have some host operating system. And this instance can be organized in different way. I can have a new instance that is accessible outside of my Cloud9 in service as well, or I can have that EC2 instance set up such that it is not accessible anywhere but the Cloud9 setup. Okay, so I'll be choosing the first one as last time we did. The instant type is T2 micro. This is a free tier eligible, so you can see that they have written it clearly that you can use this for educational user and for exploration, for identifying and doing experimentation. It is good. And you will see that there are various different instances. Depending on your requirement, you can choose, but then you will also get billed for those instances. Okay, we won't go into the details of what these instances are and how they are, etc. So this is some nano instance. So half GB RAM, 2 CPU, half GB RAM, 1 CPU, T3 micro, small, lots of different things available. Okay, but we will stick to T2 micro because it is eligible for free tier. You will not be cost dearly if you use it. It will be in maybe pennies if you keep it on for long. You can get 25 rupees a month or 30 rupees a month kind of a bill, which is okay. If we are learning something and we are ready to pay, we can pay it. But generally, we won't have that much. If you run it throughout 24 hours for the entire month, then 25 rupees or 30 rupees you will cost for this free tier instance. Okay, लेकिन इतना देर तक हम लोग चलाएंगे ही नहीं, उसको डिलीट कर देंगे जैसा हमारा काम हो जाएगा. The platform that I'm using is so this Amazon Linux version 2. This is a lightweight version of Linux, so it occupies less memory and it is efficient to operate with Amazon Command Line. And that's why you should choose Amazon Linux 2 if you do not have a specific requirement to use, say, one particular Linux variant, like say Ubuntu or like say some other version. Okay, so we'll be using Amazon Linux 2. This Amazon Linux AMI was an image from past. This is version 2, so I should use that over the other one. Now this default time, we talked about it last time also. After 30 minutes, the EC2 instance will be shut off. So automatically you don't use the ID for more than 30 minutes. Your EC2 instance won't run, and since EC2 instance is not running, you won't be billed. So that is how you need to understand what it is. Okay, so IAM role, we are not going to change these, and network settings we are not going to change them. Tag किस लिए यूज होता है? अगर मेरे पास बहुत सारा environments